we will see. I got because it
Are,
has
are we going to place bets on who's going to show up first tonight?
right.
If chats work.
I'm going to say
chats
Arc.
work. So yeah, I think he'll be first.
Arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
All right. So this is
February.
February.
Didn't join us last week.
No. This is February. No, February. Man, September 14th. And we're doing our United Falcon. And I don't see. I got one open. Hopefully, I sent Anthony a link. I hope I sent him the right one. Oh, there we go. There now the YouTube chat will work. I still don't know why the Facebook chats do not work. So
we'll have to have a quick conversation with Anthony because he had it working the one night from posting stuff on the force behind Star Wars.
Was he doing restream?
I thought he was commenting on Facebook.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I have. Let me see. Hinton. It says view. Well, let me see here if it lets me edit. No, I don't know. We shall see.
We're only 40 episodes in, so
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Still making.
Well, I tell you what. So everyone, we'll get started here. We have a lot to talk about. I will try to change the ticker as you guys change the topic. How's that? I'll be in charge of the ticker. We should just get Safi on another computer and just have her do all the ticker work.
Be our producer.
Yeah, she just be behind it. I'll just have to build a second room. I'll just have to dig into the ground and build a little studio. Oh, Anthony is
the first in here.
Yeah, there we go. So,
and we were all wrong
again.
Well, come on. No one listens because they think we're going to be right.
That's true. They just listen because we gab on for hours and hours.
Right. So what are we going to start with tonight? So what do you think? Ken, you're the well-organized podcasting machine that you are. What should we start with?
So let's do a little bit of troop time because we've got some exciting news in John's neck of the woods. And then I'll chime in with the stuff going on here in Jersey. And we'll go from troop time to costume corner.
That sounds good to me.
All right.
Troop time's up.
Troop time. I've got my first troop this Friday. It is a casino night for underprivileged kids in education, I think.
You're going to make underprivileged kids gamble?
I guess. I think it's their parents who are gambling. I don't know. I was just told, hey, you said you were going to show up. Do you remember? Yes. Okay, cool.
Awesome.
So I'm going to be there. So yeah, we've actually, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But we've got a crazy good lineup. That's going to be there.
Second in the lineup tonight.
Now, what's your garrison's name to promote your garrison?
The Ohio Garrison.
What's the? Is it just called the Ohio Garrison?
It's just the Ohio Garrison.
In some ways, I have to respect that because when you look up some of these garrisons and it's Cloud City, and you're like, okay, well, where are you guys? So I will respect that.
I do find it amusing that it's a public school, right? A public school system.
How do you mean?
Your troop is supporting?
No. So it's actually I got the actual event pulled up. It's a 501c3. It's a nonprofit.
Okay.
Whose mission is to help fill the gaps in funding and education for children and young adults in Northeast Ohio with developmental or intellectual disabilities.
Oh, that's nice. So it could be
awesome.
It could be a secondary program, or it could be someone who helps subsidize. Like we have, at being a teacher, we have all kinds of things that subsidize. And sometimes it's as simple as you'll hear Walmart say they subsidize education or they help education. And usually that means they'll give us each teacher a $20 gift certificate. And that's supposed to save education. But there are some groups that do things like this, and they'll help local schools or local charities, for do things after school programs for people. I've been to a couple of those casino nights, and they're really neat. Because I know in Pennsylvania, some of the casinos, which is there's probably it's probably, if you really dove into it, it's probably mildly evil. but they will lend these charities all their equipment, like a craps table and stuff like that. And you go and you'll pay like $100 to be in this charity event, and they'll give you like $500 worth of fake chips. And then you just play all night, and then you take your winnings. You don't get any money back, like real money, but you can take that money and buy like drinks there that night with that fake money, or you can do basket bingo or basket auctions and silent auctions with it and stuff. So that's cool.
Sadly, they've put the early kibosh on gambling in costume.
Yeah, well,
it's unfortunate, but we've got quite the lineup for costumes. An ATST pilot, the Burning River Squad leader just got his Krennic approved, so he's going to debut that there. 2 officers, a TIE pilot, Vader, a TK, 2 TKs, and a Jawa. So 10 in total.
That's a good.
You forgot the most important one.
Yeah, Kylo.
Well, yeah, I'm obviously going to be there.
All right, make sure you have a sign in your tote that says First Troop. We're expecting pictures.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll forget, but I'll find something.
It's usually like a pizza box that someone gets a Sharpie on. Is usually the First Troop.
Yeah, well, I've seen. I don't know if it's like a generalized thing, but I've seen pictures of like actual like typed up signs that like other squad members have brought that said First Troop. So
well, you have time. That's why we're saying it now.
Yeah, but I'm forgetful, and I don't like having the attention on me.
We have this thing recorded.
Right.
You don't have to remember. And between now and then, Mike and I'll send you 16 little messages. Don't forget the sign.
Right.
Good point.
Well,
you can put it in your box before you go.
Yeah, I'm excited for you because it's just it is a fun time for the costuming, and just your first one is really cool. And that sounds like a good one because it's a good cause. I mean, not that any of them, again, I could go on and on about it, but the charity that you do in costume is more than any kind of a money. It's those little things like when Ken talks about the picture on his phone. There's no amount of money that's going to change that for that person,
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Ken, what do you got going on for troop time?
This past weekend we had a Rakerdon armor party. So we got a whole bunch of people together in Jackson, New Jersey, working on our kits. And this was probably the most productive of an armor party for me. I got many things done, or how do I describe this? I worked on several parts and got a little bit done on each part. So I've mentioned before that I'm working on a modified blaster, kind of like Bates Melbus, with that chain that goes from the backpack to the rifle. And the gentleman who runs our armor parties, he does it in a factory warehouse. So he has all the coolest tools, belt sanders and CNC machines, and it's this huge space with rolling tables. And so I got a lot of things done. I got work done on all 3 of my pistols, my blaster rifle. The last time I was there, I was able to get my chest armor shaped. And I think my favorite part of the whole party was we had 2 new people come. Well, one new person, and he brought a guest with him. And his guest, we were working on our stuff at the table, and his guest at one point said to me, "We were really nervous when we showed up." I'm like, "What do you mean? What were you nervous about?" And they said, "Well, this is in an industrial area, and I was worried that this was a fake thing, that I was going to end up with as a trap, and you were going to harvest our organs."
I thought that story was going to go like, we thought we weren't worthy enough to build stuff, and here it goes totally dark.
Yeah. Are you talking like straight out of Hostel, like that crazy movie where they kidnap you and steal your organs? Like, that's exactly what I thought it was. So that was good for a 20-minute laugh. And when they were leaving, I thanked them for coming out, and I said, "I'm so glad you're leaving with all your organs."
Well, that's good.
Love that.
Yeah. Well, we were in the mindset of visiting yours, Ken, but we just didn't. The Jersey Highway changed our minds. So
yeah, the roads over here, especially the big ones that you be traveling on, can get wacky from time to time.
Yeah, well, I didn't really have any troop time other than I sent Zoe her armor. And I'm just working on armor. No armor parties. I mean, but your armor parties.
Sounds like a detour into Costume Corner.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just trying. Yeah, I don't have any. I'm trying to think if I have any. Again, I have a wedding coming up in October. But that's and possibly a parade. I'm debating on the parade or not. I haven't thrown my name into that yet.
Oh, actually, before we do jump into Costume Corner, I should probably say out loud that I've officially become Rockerdon's event coordinator.
Oh, nice.
So I'm the one of the people now responsible for interacting with various event organizers, and I just posted 2 events that are coming up. One is the 1st of October. It's called Puptoberfest.
Ooh.
And so that's going to happen in New Jersey, where it's an outdoor event, and the purpose behind this event is to raise money for the 11th Hour Rescue. They're a pet rescue organization, and so they're going to have this outdoor kind of festival with food trucks and vendors and games for the kids and opportunities to adopt pets. I think cats and dogs and possibly guinea pigs. I could be wrong about the guinea pigs. So there'll be the possibility of Kennex getting some photographs with some pets, and I've already called dibs on a Great Dane if they happen to have one, because I think it'd be fun to have a picture of the Great Dane.
Has your garrison thought, or whatever what is it? Oh, it's clan.
Clan. Yep.
Clan. Have they ever thought of doing a calendar? Because I've seen some of the pet rescue where they do a calendar and then the pet rescue sells it for.
Yeah, we have. In fact, we've been working with this particular rescue, 11th Hour Rescue, on something like that. However, there's been a little bit of behind the scenes drama related to it. I'll just leave it at that. And so the idea has been put out there, and there's the possibility of it, but it may not be one of those things that comes quickly.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to hear. I'm glad you got the job. It's just nice when I see the groups heading in a positive way and putting good people, in good places. So now here's the question for that. So because a lot of people, depending on who you talk to in any of the clubs, they make the leadership roles sound like such burdens, like woe is me. Do you have, when you took that job, did you set criteria for yourself? Like how you're going to keep it from taking some of your joy out of doing the other things?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I even talked with Heather about that. I said I want to make sure that this stays fun, and I do what I can to inject the fun in the event as well. Because one of the things that we've been struggling with in New Jersey the last few years is just getting the members to come to the events.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, there's been a slight dip in the number of folks that turn up. And when we have these events, it's usually the same handful of folks, even though there are more official members than show up. So I'm going to work to reach out to the folks who haven't been there for a while and find out what's, might be getting in their way of showing up, and seeing if we can get them back to these events, because they have great costumes and they're fun to hang out with. And it would just be nice to see more Mandos in one place.
Right. Well, all the costuming groups, I think, always do look and do better the more people you have. It's just, it's just overwhelming. Like I'm a stormtrooper. I love it when I see 5 or 6 TKs, because you just stand us all together and it looks better than just one guy standing there.
The other thing that I've committed to do for myself, and I'll say it out for the universe to hear, I'm going to work hard to make stronger relationships with the different groups.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that the 501st and the Rebel Legion and the Saber Guild and the Mandalorian Mercs, they all know of each other.
Right.
But in my role as just a random Mando at these events, I didn't deliberately go out of my way to find out who the leader of that group was or the leader of that group was.
Right.
Now I'm going to.
Well, you have the head of the 501st in Jersey, Justin Salter. Yeah. So he's in whatever New Jersey's garrison is.
I think it might be the Northeast Remnant.
Northeast Remnant. Okay. Remnant always makes me sound like they're like just the leftovers.
Like carpet?
Yeah, like all that we just put that piece in the closet downstairs because we ran out of whatever. Well, that's cool. Yeah, like I said, I don't have any other troop time coming up.
Well, speaking of getting a lot of people in one place, let's not forget in 10 days the signups for Aaron Scare go live.
Yes, Aaron Scare goes live.
Yep. Really?
Yeah. They Dan invited me to the Facebook group.
And as sad as I'm going to say this, I probably am not going to make it.
You talked this event up so much.
Listen, and this is me trying to be a good parent. Okay, this is not me not wanting to go to Aaron Scare, but Safi struggles with hours at work, which then makes her struggle with not having money. And so I keep telling her, look, you're at the point in your life where you have to work weekends. And you have, because Dutch Wonderland closes down in January. Whatever she makes has to last her until April, or she has to go get another job. And and she's doing so good at me doing that. It's hard for me to say, hey, and by the way, we're going to take off one of the busiest October days for your job so we can go to Aaron Scare. So that's probably, unless something happens, I hit the lottery or she hits the lottery or something like that. But I'm gonna watch this. But I highly recommend signing up.
Hey John, do you mind inviting me to that group?
Yeah, I will do that right now. If I can.
Because Ken, the thing about that event, I cannot state this. It is the most nicest people to deal with. The people, the garrison people running it. But they do it in an organized manner. So sometimes in these groups, people think you sacrifice kindness to be organized. You know what I mean? Like they use that as an excuse. Well, we're going to be a little mean about this con because we need to be organized. And every year I went, they do a spreadsheet. You sign up and you just look, okay, Ken, you're trooping from 12 to 1. You commit to an hour. That's all you have to do. You can walk around any other time. But they have a queue area where you suit up, stand in a queue area. Someone has a big sign, almost like a Roman, like a army banner, and it says, no pictures heading toward a spot, and they escort you out to where you're getting your photos, and you stand with a background and get your pictures for an hour, and then they come and get you and take you out. And then the rest of the time, you can walk around in costume if you want. You can not walk around in costume. It's just so good. So,
what date is that, John?
It is. Maybe am I in the? I think I'm in the right thing.
Weekend before Halloween.
Yeah, it's Saturday, October 29th, 8 to 5.
Oh,
yeah, but it is well worth it because you get to see the blackbird, you get to see all that stuff, and I think they even posted up, John, if I remember correctly, it was like there's no garrison preference. Because they didn't want someone that they were just like, it's first come, first serve. You sign up, you're in. So, and if you don't get it, get on the waiting list. Because both times we went, we were on the waiting list and we got bumped in. Because Ken will find as a person running events, there's a lot of people that don't know how to read a calendar, and you'll get like the day before an event, and someone will say, "I didn't realize it was a weekday. I didn't realize Friday. All of a sudden, Friday's a weekday." That was that was always the thing I laughed about with the Weird Al concerts. They posted up all these Weird Al concerts and people went nuts and signed up. And then they backed out last minute. And so that one year I went to 4 of them and they were he went to 4 of them. Well, I was like 5th on the list of waiting. And I was like, hey, look, if people are like, I didn't know it was it. I would get home late on a Tuesday night. I'm like, well, but I highly recommend it. I'm still waiting for my code. I know there's still partial troop time. I'm still waiting for my hotel code for Steel City, though. I'm still that $900 hotel bill is not going to fly.
Yeah, I'm. There's no way. If that's the final number, there's no way I'm staying at the DoubleTree.
No, it's like 135 with the code, but the code doesn't work yet. So I even contact Steel City. Hey, the code's not working. So, I'm probably just going to call the DoubleTree. Not this week because school is killing me, but I might call them tomorrow. I'm sitting there waiting for the parents and just see what code they give me. And I know the hotel for Aaron Scare is like right across the street. Like we stayed there one time, and I know that wasn't that expensive because the one year we went, we rented 2 rooms and let the girls go nuts in it. So,
yeah, considering the date, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it because it's right before our trip to Batu.
Well, you could like use that as your kickoff. You could drive there to Virginia, then you're halfway there.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about halfway.
Well,
No.
you're out of
Closer.
Jersey.
We would definitely be closer. That's for
Are you
sure.
driving or are you flying?
Yeah, we're driving.
Yeah, so you could just drive to Virginia, start a little early, and then just zip right down.
Yeah, but the problem with that is I don't have to have my kit box in the car the whole trip to Disney.
Yeah. Well, maybe, yeah, you know.
Which
just sneak it, hide it in the back of the space shuttle. Just stick it in the back of the space shuttle and come back and get it later.
Well, what's even funnier about that is we plan on going to Batu the day before Halloween, I think, and I think they're allowing costumes. So
that's come on, that's Providence there.
I'm wondering, hey Heather, if you're listening to this, what do you think about me taking my kit box to Disney World?
Yeah. Speaking of that, did you see that Din is finally going to make it into Batu?
Yeah, he'll be wandering around Disneyland.
That's pretty cool.
Although I will say something that's pretty funny. So we were watching that the other day, and Heather called me into the room saying, "Hey, look at this!" And they had brought Din out on the stage and everything. I said, "That costume looks a little off." And then Jon Favreau says, "Oh yeah, so much time and effort went into this costume to make it screen accurate." I'm like, I'm not so sure about that.
Well, the thing with Disney and all, if you make an employee wear something, there are some concessions you have to make.
Oh goodness, yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, it's the same reason why their Chewbacca's are so short.
Their hair around the face is like hair sprayed back.
Yeah,
so it doesn't. Yeah. It's not free floating like Marty's hair is.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, there was something definitely off about that costume.
Like the material looked thinner, and I don't know if it's because, to your point, Mike, that they built these costumes so that you can wear them in the heat for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
I just thought the whole flight suit looked wrong.
Well, to me it almost looked like sometimes when you see Vader, he's just a combo of the best pieces, or you know what I mean? Like it almost, because I know exactly what you're saying. It was just slightly off, but it looks like every one of the pieces were right, but maybe not all together.
It's still gorgeous looking. It's just I just think it's funny that as a person who makes costumes to look at something on screen, like something looks weird about that, only to have it followed up by a comment from one of the makers saying, "Oh yeah, no." And
you have to. We have to watch as costumers when we look at that, because then when we critique, you almost get lumped into that group of people that are kind of like costume snobs,
right?
You know what I mean? Because that's how I am with stormtroopers. If I see certain stormtroopers, they look a little off, and then you have to pick and choose. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited about that. I mean, I'm not going to Batu until next summer, so he'll be tired out. It'll be.
Yeah. Well, I'm still, it's Bob Chapek, right? He's the CEO of Disney now.
I think so. See, I'm only a Disney person because of Star Wars. If that makes sense.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean that's what. Well, yeah, but I was a Marvel person before they were bought by
What about the Muppets?
I liked the Muppets, but the
I'll give you the Muppets.
But when they tried to redo them, it didn't work for me. I liked the original ones. So the reason I brought him up is because I know he's listening to the show tonight. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's one of the.
I want to say to him that they have a wonderful opportunity in Batu to have more characters just be there.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they have I think it's is it Sarah Michelle Gellar? Is that the second sister, the Inquisitor?
Yeah, seventh sister.
They have the second sister. They have Darth Maul.
Yeah.
That does the lightsaber training, in Hollywood studios. So they could very easily. I think they even have Asajj Ventress sometimes do the lightsaber training.
Yeah, well, I think maybe it'll come back to the days of the Disney weekends when there were just random like like there was Zam Wessel one time just walked through. Like it might just be when they had Ahsoka and Rex. The year I was there, they had Ahsoka and Rex.
Jango Fett.
Yeah, so it might just which is I think at first they were trying to make Batuu have to stick to a certain theme, and I think they realized most people don't really care.
Most people there don't really understand,
right? Well, it's funny because if you talk to people that go to West Coast Batuu compared to East Coast Batuu, they're from what the people tell me, it's a totally different feel. Because the West Coast, since it's right in Anaheim, there's more people that hang out there.
They'll go there for lunch.
Yeah, because the California residents get like a discount and all that kind of stuff, and then it's more of the tourist Batuu. It's the tourist side of Batuu for Florida, because you can't really live like right next to Batuu in Disneyland, Florida, or Disney World, or whatever it is.
Although Heather and I recently found out that there's a community in Florida. I don't remember the name of it, and I probably should, but you can buy homes there. And I think the starting price that we found was like $3 million or something like that.
I could $2 million maybe, but $3 million, that's out of my price range.
So you can live really close to the Disney property.
Oh, really close.
That's forces behind Star Wars money. That's not Inflatable Falcon money. But Lizzie lived in a community, like when they would bus them in, when she was talking about, they lived in like a specific community when she was doing her internship at Epcot, and they would come in on a bus and stuff like that. And they would kind of hide that they were workers because people would try to like bug them, like go in and stuff. So, but here, let me go to Costume Corner because I do have something to ask John. Did you see that Beskar? Did I tag you in that Beskar chest plate on Facebook or something that John Rodriguez did?
Maybe?
He was selling a Beskar chest plate that it looked like glass, like it was.
I don't know if you tagged me in it, but I did see it. Was he also selling a cape?
I don't know if he was selling a cape. I think he was just selling the chest piece because he's been chroming the crap out of it. He's a friend of mine out in California. He chromes all kinds of stuff. But the chest plate looked really good. So that was my.
Yeah, because I saw someone last night was selling a chest piece and a cape, and I thought it might have been him.
I mean, he might have been. I honestly, because of work, I haven't been online as much as normal.
Yeah, I saw it in the Dinjarin Customers Guild.
Oh no, he just posts stuff up. He's one of the dad. He's one of the dad batch. He's one of the dad batch podcast hosts.
Not to be confused with the Rad Batch.
Right, not the Rad Batch, the Dad Batch.
Yeah, I don't think you tagged.
He might. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Let me see if I can share my screen without crashing everything. Since we're in Costume Corner here.
Wow.
That's no joke.
Jesus.
Yeah, and this picture doesn't do it justice. But if you get a chance, follow John Rodriguez for his stuff. His stuff is awesome.
I don't like that Facebook recognized that as I was just typing in John.
Well, it listens to it.
It's listening to us, yes.
Yeah, good point.
But my only other costuming is I'm printing new leg flares for Zoe. So I have to do 16 leg flares. And the problem with those leg flares that I made her, I don't know if you've ever seen her Sabine with the leg flares around it. They're made out of a strip of a milk jug covered with faux leather, and then 3D printed. The flares on them are screwed in with self-tapping screws on the strip of milk jug plastic, and then they run into a hidden screw that goes into the front of the armor to hold them up. So it's not as easy of a project as I thought it would be. So I'm going to try to make those, because she's like, "Oh, just send me the parts and I'll make them." I'm like, "No, I'll do it for you." So But yeah, I gotta do her leg flares, and then I got to start working on this live action Sabine, because I'm trying to pull from my memory and that one picture we got of her, and trying to remember the things I can do and not do. So
you're missing the most important thing that you're supposed to be working on.
Lord Vader.
That should be priority numero dos behind the fixing Sabine.
Well, John, I've been doing costumes since 06, and I still only have one costume for myself that's approved.
Right, but now you've got Ken and I to harp on you every single week.
I know. I got Marty harping on me too, because he wants his Vader done too. So, well, Wendy, honestly, once Wendy gets the robe, then that'll punch me up to start, because right now I can't put it all on. So, and I'm a little afraid of doing the strapping and helmet, but because once I start cutting that helmet, I can't uncut it, you know. So I got to put the head strapping. I think I'm probably gonna mount a hard hat liner on the inside.
Yeah,
just to give me a little wiggle room. Is that a dog or that's an invisible dog?
This is Nymeria. She's looking for some attention.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, well,
that's my costuming. That's my costuming. And I got that B. Is that a B wing? No, that's a Y wing helmet.
I thought it was a B wing helmet.
I thought it was a B wing helmet.
Okay, B wing, Y wing, whatever helmet. I got that, which I just got to get. There's a couple screws and rivets on it. I just want to make sure that they're on all of the helmets before I mold it. I don't want to mold it and they're like, oh no, that screw shouldn't be there. Like I don't want to make a mold and then, oh, this is a really good mold, but you got to sand this off. You know. So there's like a little LED pad up here that has a rivet on each side, and then there's 5 random screws on this side, which I think are 4 random screws, which I think are on the actual helmet, because they're not real screws. But I just want to double check before I mold it.
Yeah.
Well, and you got to give us an update on shipping out the Sabine costume to California, because that got in the way of us getting photographs from Magic Jump.
Yes, that is it. That she got it. It shipped out in 3 boxes, which was really scary, because I had to, okay, well, look, if this box gets lost, she'll lose these pieces. And if this box gets lost, she'll lose these pieces. So 3 boxes. I shipped it out Thursday night I just went to the main Lancaster post office, because like I live out in Quarryville. So the mail goes from here to the big sorting center and then goes out. So I just went to the big sorting center and mailed straight from there. And Thursday night at 6, and it got to her 4:00 Saturday in California. As much as you want to knock the U.S. Post Office, man, you can't beat that. It wasn't nearly as expensive as I thought it would be. So, and it all made it there in one piece, nothing broken. The helmet, I was like, open the helmet first. That was fine. And then and nothing else could have really been broken other than the chest piece. But I had that wrapped so well that there was nothing. So yeah, so she has that. Now she doesn't need it for tomorrow, which was the weird thing. After I mailed it, she found out that she didn't need it for tomorrow's thing. She needs it for another event that she's doing at the end of the month.
But she's still gonna wear it tomorrow, right?
Oh, no, it's fancy dress. It's like a
red carpet.
Not red carpet, but right below red carpet, because it's a thank you to the Mando Mercs or something like that. It's like a thank you thing. So I don't know what it is, or who's going to be there, but she's excited. So
what's below red then?
I don't know. Is that mauve or I don't know if it's red. I don't know what it's. It's a special showing for the Mando Mercs, and they had to dress Star Wars casual, but bring your bucket or something like that. Oh. So they are bringing their buckets. So I don't know. But
is she going to dress like they dressed at Canto Bite, like that kind of dress?
No, not quite that fancy. She just has I think she has an Andor dress, which was confusing Missy, because she kept hearing us say Andor and Endor. And she's like, okay, well, is Endor the show, or is it, you know what I mean? So
is she going to Onderon to talk about Alderaan?
It was almost as bad as the two times Missy got confused with that was also Zoe had. So Lizzie's family has a stuffed bear, and I forget the name now. Man, I'm a bad Rogue Rebels, but they have a stuffed bear. Olivia is the name of the bear. Well, at the same time, Zoe had this other girl on one of her first shows. This I forget her name. Well, then Lizzie and then we're talking about Olivia and how Olivia's leg fell off. This stuffed bear, this and that. Missy was getting confused that this little girl that they just had on the previous week's leg fell off. So that, and she listened to it one time on 1.5 speed. And Missy said, "Could you just tell those girls they need to talk a little slower?" Because she had her podcast on 1.5 speed, so, which I've done that before too. So the new to podcasters. But yeah, I have Vader. Actually, the cape. I should have bought a mannequin at Joe's because I was thinking I need a mannequin for my Vader, and none of the mannequins stand right. It makes Vader look weird if you put them on, because most mannequins have a weird pose. I need like a Superman type pose for my Vader.
You should get one from Target.
Yeah, but they stand weird. They don't have a Superman pose.
Yeah, they do. Some of them now. Some of them are even beefy. They're like Dave Prowse mannequins.
Oh, I'll have to look. I haven't been in a Target forever. You realize most of my clothes are almost as old as John, and then my T-shirts I get at Five Below. They don't have mannequins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do something with that, because when that Vader's done, he has to be displayed. Right now, I'm dealing with drywall dust. I'm still working on this stupid round doorway. The nightmare that it is. I might just build a crashed Falcon in my basement with hammer holes in the wall.
Oh boy.
No, it's
like
not that bad.
When Han landed on it wasn't Savarine. What was that planet that had the
Oh,
are you talking about
when they went to get the stuff processed?
Yeah, the refinery.
Yeah.
Was that Savarine?
Yeah, that was Savarine.
It was Savarine. Okay.
Or also on Starkiller Base.
Oh yeah, landing on Starkiller
yeah.
Base. Yeah, that Falcon took a beating. So wait a minute, you had some unexpected. Oh, the dog. You talking about the dog, maybe? Okay, so that's my costuming. That's my costuming. I did make a list of all my projects, and it came to be, if not just major projects, is 54 things I'm working on.
Jesus.
IG-11's last fingers are printing today. I've been printing that since whenever. His last fingers are printing right now.
I almost forgot about IG-11.
I did. He's just in a big tote. I tripped over it the other day, and I was like, I got to get this thing printed. So.
Yeah, the only thing I've got working on right now, other than, Ken, you have to text me tomorrow to remind me to start your shoulder bells.
Okay.
Working on the Din Djarin helmet. So I got it printed. It was an okay print. It wasn't anything to write home about, but
you got skills, man. You got skills.
It's gonna be a gift. Yeah. It's the thought that counts.
Right. But yeah, so I had to do. It was the first helmet that I couldn't just use a lighter to take care of the stringing on the inside, because I don't know what happened, but like my printer's been stringing so bad.
Yeah. I think you crank your temperature up.
Is that what it
depends on the filament. So like I use the GS3D, and the gray is fine. If I use different colors, I got to turn the temperature up where I get stringing in there. So
that reminds me, I have to text one of my coworkers, because we were trying to figure it out the other night. What I couldn't remember, GS3D.
Yeah, but I forget they actually have another. When you go there, the website, because I just bought a random case and paid like $8.99 for a spool, but I didn't get to pick colors. So we just slipped into 3D printing time.
Yeah. Anywho, but yeah, I couldn't just take a lighter to it. I actually had to break out the acetylene torch and the blowtorch and actually take care of the stringing. But
you did yours up. You do yours upside down.
Actually, I did this one right side up. Believe it or not, it was one of those things where I wanted to. It was the first helmet I've ever printed in one piece that didn't have a center support. It was
Oh yeah, that's awesome, right?
It was one of those things where I'm crazy. Like, I was like, you know what? This isn't even like a costume piece for me. This is, just a 3-month project that I'm working on. So I'll give it a shot. And because I thought the whole top of the dome was going to be just a mess, but really it's just the inside. So I was surprised. Yeah, so I got my first coat of filler primer, and then I ran out of the glazing and spot putty like halfway through coating the helmet, but I got the whole dome in the back, and then the cheek indents all got filler primer on it. Now I just need to make the time to run to AutoZone to get more.
Nice.
But
how about you, Ken? You told us about some of your costume, but you said you were going to wait for something for Costume Corner?
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Did I say I was going to wait for something?
Yeah. Marcus is fixing his TK. What's broke on your TK, Marcus? Tell us. Tell us where it hurts. Point to it on the Stormtrooper doll.
Yeah, point to as long
where did the Empire hurt you?
In my heart spot.
No, I thought you said you had something to wait, or maybe you waited for when we were doing I don't know.
Yeah, I think if we said it in the pre-show, I think it was just waiting to put it all out here. I think I shared everything that I'm working on.
Yeah, I have a project that I totally forgot about with the TK that I have to go out with, and then there's a new group. This is kind of in Costume Group Corner. It's called World War II TKs. Have you seen that group on Facebook?
No.
So it's this group started by Michael Bender. He's like he does a lot of photos for Lucasfilm. He was the model for the picture that used to come in the Novos box and stuff like that. Inner straps, cool. But he started this one. Some guy did a bunch of art prints of these World War II-esque stormtroopers. Like he took stormtroopers and made them look like World War II type armor. He mixed them up a little bit. It's kind of cool. It's like fan art. So he started this World War II stormtrooper group.
Oh, that's funny because I have a couple pieces. I thought they were from the 13th floor, and it was a photographer that actually took pictures of toys in different, like the raising of the flag at Iwo Jima and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's similar. It's something like that. I mean, it's not as good as our Ajax Citizen group, which I got to get back on to that. But see, where's my? I'm trying to find my groups here. Oops, that's not it. I'll send you a link because I know like he just started it and there's like 100 people in it all already.
Oh my goodness!
Like to me, I looked at it and I was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to build a kit right away, but I'm getting to the point where I'm trying not to add new jobs. But if I find something I can use up pieces with, like just to kind of make it.
Well, if you're looking to use up pieces, what about Dengar? Make a Dengar.
Yeah, Dengar. I never liked Dengar though. I know a lot of people like Dengar. When I was a kid, I just thought he looked really grumpy, and I was still fascinated with every other character in that group. I'm not trying to besmirch Dengar or anything, but I just thought he seemed out of his league with those guys.
Well, I mean, he was pretty upset at Han Solo for beating him as a Cloud Rider.
Yeah.
Or a swoop bike racer.
Here we go. Let me see
if I ever do that costume, I'm going to change his name to Kengar.
Oh, yeah. See, there you go.
Oh, very cool.
So it's just, and here's the group. It's just like it shows guys. These are the action figures you might have been talking about. Like some guys setting up action figures, and but like just making them something. Like there's some there,
Was that dog the bounty hunter?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that was a weird one. Like some of these are like mercenary looking.
Okay,
that's pretty cool. Like the death sticks on the armor, like their mock-up box of death sticks.
I like that poncho.
Yeah, the poncho thing is cool. There's a Tom, or no, that's the Lewis gun with the straps on it. You know, the Lewis gun they use for the heavy blaster. There's just some paint ups, biker scouts. I don't know. It's a pretty neat.
That's awesome.
It's a pretty neat group for, you know, because I think, like for me, I still like the accuracy part of costuming, but I think for some people it also might be a nice break to like, hey, let's see what we can. I think here, I honestly though, not knocking this guy, that's wonderful costume, but you know that's a TK that's just like, I want to be able to sit down, so I'm going to make my costumes so I can sit down. He's like, I'm not wearing those upper legs, you know. So, and I do like the tank drivers. When I was at, so this is kind of still costuming. When I was at Joe's shop, he had a complete mold set for the Shore Trooper. And man, if it would have been 2 years ago he was having this sale, I probably would have put a pile of cash out for those molds. But
I think if it was this summer, you would have put a.
That's well, if I didn't have two kids in school, but the molds are nice. But and that Falcon was nice. The interior that it's not a true Falcon, but that interior of the Falcon was kind of cool. And did you ever see his AT-AT?
No.
He said he had like a 20-some foot tall AT-AT, and he didn't know what to do with it, so he put it in a dumpster. So, you know, that interior of the Falcon, it broke down into like 7 pieces, he said. But you would still need, you still need a box truck. Like it would still take up an entire bay of your garage, even in pieces. You know, but it was built solid. Like Safi climbed up right in there, and it wasn't like flimsy. Like you didn't have to like watch where you walk, watch where you sit. It was built to take an abuse. So it would be a nice piece for like a setup of somebody if they wanted it. But I don't think a lot of the groups have any place to store big stuff, because that's what I always see with the big props. When costuming groups, they build a big prop, and then when it first gets built, it's an argument of who keeps it because everyone wants to keep it. And then within like a year, it's an argument who wants to keep it because they're tired of this thing taking up space in their garage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That seems to be the course I've seen, because there was a throne built in Delaware, you know, and then everyone wanted it, and then no one wanted it. You know, it seems.
I still like that Boba throne that the guy from Pennsylvania made.
Yeah, and is that? I think it's Andrew that made that. No, I think so. Yeah, that's a nice one. He makes nice stuff, but his stuff's heavy. Like it'll take abuse. Like you can let people sit on it. Because the one thing you don't want to build is a big prop and then have to tell everyone not to touch it. You know.
Or to have it built by folks that don't understand construction or it's a great idea on paper, but then when you put it together, it's like a house of cards, and it just falls down when 3 toddlers play with it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've seen that with the big props, or I've seen the guys who build stuff that have to be torn down, but they don't think about it being torn down. Like, I'll just bolt this together and stand it up, and you have a 15-foot tall wall that can easily fall over on somebody. So, yeah, that's the but that's what's neat about the costuming groups and costuming in general. You usually get a mix of people. So you might get that creative, and then you might get that guy that works construction, and then they
meet in the middle, which is just like how Star Wars came to be anyway.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I remember one of the first R2s I ever saw was Jason Pangorn's in Maryland, and his R2, a person can sit on top of it and it'll run.
Oh my goodness.
And it weighs 300 and some pounds. And because it's all made of steel, the whole frame, like it, and he had a work trailer with a weird little mount in the middle, like a big, like that you see a contractor having, a big one. And he would literally just put that R2 right in the middle, lock its wheels in, close it up, and that's what he used to haul it because he couldn't put it in a car. He couldn't lift it.
See, and that kind of stuff is a commitment.
And he drove it. He used to drive it through. He had a video of himself driving it through a water park. Like all the water shooting up, stuff like that. He has a mouse droid that he lets people ride.
That's
people
amazing.
sit on top and ride. So that's what's neat about the costuming. It just brings in so many. I still think you have to get Anthony to come to one of your armor parties. Because
I'd like Anthony to give us permission to make one of his costumes. He's designed some really cool characters in his day.
Yeah.
And some of them would make really great costumes.
But I'm saying, I think Anthony would appreciate the costume, that part too, because of his creative, because of the creative force that he is. Just seeing those guys, he would be such an asset to an armor party, but I think it'd just be such a blast.
Well, and it would also bring it to a different kind of reality, because sometimes I think when folks look at costumes, I could never do that.
Yep.
You might not be able to do all of it, but that's why you've got this person over here who has that skill and that person over there who has a different set of skills. And then we come together and figure out how to make it happen.
Well, and when I first started building costumes, I used to hyper focus on every square inch of the costume. Even as late as when I was building Safi's 000, I was sanding the wrist of her arm because there was a little off line in the wrist, like the size of a piece of pencil lead. I was trying to make sure that was perfectly straight. And then I realized, this is on her arm that no one's going to see on the bottom of her wrist, because it would have taken me 10 years to get that costume done. If I would have, I had at a certain point, I had to be look, I have to go for the aesthetic. This, okay, this bolt might not be in the right spot. When you put the whole thing together, it looks right,
I wonder how much progress Ark has made on his stuff.
I don't know. He'll surprise us one day.
He'll show up.
Well, that's the thing that costuming has changed. When I first looked for my first costume in '93. Looked for my first storm. I got a hug. But in '93, when I first seriously looked, when I was actually knew I was able to spend the money and buy the costume in '06, it was so difficult because it was hard to find resources, and that's where the costuming groups would bundle these resources and try to help you. And now what's nice is with the internet, you can find you have Walt's Trooper Factory, you have Trooper Bay, you have all these helper to help you build stuff that you can almost be alone and build stuff. This weekend, I'm going to probably paint my clone armor will be painted all rust color. And then I'll tape the rest off. I've been going back and forth. Maybe you guys can answer. He has all the rust details. So my thought is I'm going to paint the whole armor rust to even out all the weathering that's on it. And then I'll tape off what I'm going to keep rust and then put the white over the rust, which to me sounds like a stupid idea, but I want to do that so the white gives me an even color of the white. Or should I just do the whole thing white and do the rust stuff? What do you think?
Well,
it's going to be hard to cover up that rust color with white.
Okay, but my main worry is I'm worried the white won't cover the bad. I don't want to say bad because if the person that I bought it from the time-dated way of weathering is
the
going to
earlier
be hard
way. Yeah.
Honestly, I would just reprime it.
Yeah.
I know it's more time consuming, but that's the best way to get even coverage on both colors.
You're right. Plus the primer does the primer is going to be, I don't have to worry about any orange peel most of the time if you get a good coat of primer.
Right.
Or coats.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's ABS, so it's a little better than some of the other stuff that the ABS is cool. And plus, if it scratches, it'll be fine too. Because for that, I have the shoulder piece, and I just have to do the camera, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if he has a split one. I think his is split. I don't know.
I'm fairly certain. I think 90% of the commas were split.
And then the belt, I am debating. I have a little bit of rebound left. I might mold the belt and then pour it in rubber.
That would be good.
I just got to look. I can't remember if his belt's orange or white though. Because I can dye it. I can dye it white. I can't dye it the rust color because it won't match. I'll have to look. And then I can do the pistols and all that kind of stuff. But
that's easy.
Yeah. Because I'd like to get him done. It's just one of those ones I want to get done, throw on a mannequin. I'll probably never submit him anytime soon because I won't make the submission because you need like the special Under Armour neck seal that's different than the TK. It's a weird neck seal. I'll just troop as one of the fans. We can register the Inflatable Falcon as a fan group, and then we can troop at any LFL events.
Any open invite?
Yep. Any ball games, anything. I'll just troop.
Would that make up? Would we then be the Inflatable Falcon cargo hold?
Yeah, there we go.
His belt is white.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm probably not going to mold it then. And I don't really have to size much because I don't have to size the sides, but I just have to see because I don't think you can have seams on those if I remember correctly.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna have to either lose weight or make it bigger. So probably just make it bigger is what's gonna happen.
Are you gonna do the? You're gonna have to do the pauldron too.
I have one. Let me see.
Oh, you do?
Hang on.
Why don't I remember this? We both got a tour.
Yeah, but he has so many things tucked into corners that we didn't get to see.
That's a good point.
Plus, he randomly finds stuff that he didn't bother showing us while we were there.
True. That's very true.
We only got the 35-cent tour. I mean, we didn't get to record there. We didn't get to play video games there. It was just a quick run through.
He does have the pauldron.
Excuse the drywall dust. So I have one. I don't know how I have one, but I have one.
Oh, so that didn't come with your kit?
No.
Oh.
In the past, I would build stuff for people, and they'd be like, "Oh, here, you want this?" And I'd just say yes and not look what they give me. And I think someone this is just ABS plastic.
Mm-hmm.
So what I might do is get 3mm, the foam, and cut the plates to make it look a little more pronounced. What are they called? But it's a nice one. I mean,
would you use foam or Sintra for that?
I wouldn't use Sintra because that would be too solid looking. I would use the floor mat foam, but I'd buy the actual stuff that doesn't have floor mat grid on it.
Well, you can go to it's high density foam. You can get it at Michael's. It comes in a roll.
Yeah, and I'll get a roll, and then what I'll do is I'll make a tape template of this, and then I can put it, and then I can make it look battle damaged and paint it and glue it on. I don't know. I mean, it depends how this one looks. I mean, this one looks pretty decent. It just depends how it looks once it's on. I feel like it needs that. It looks like this is just vacuum formed ABS. It just looks like it needs a little more meat.
Mm-hmm. Well, are you going to attach the foam to that?
Or attach it right. So it would be the shape, like this shape here. I would cut it out of this, and then the ridge would be the separation point. So on those shoulder things, they have it looks like armor plates on them, kind of. I just got to look and see how that looks once it's all on.
The only thing you have to be careful with that is when you marry the two things together, there might be that seam there in between the two parts.
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking if I put the seam, if I overlap it, so see where this, if I overlap it just a hair, it'll look like the plate is on a piece of material. That'll look like intentional. So, but again, it just depends.
Now, would you consider something a little less permanent? So that way, like if you did, God forbid you ever fell into another $300 clone trooper kit.
Yeah.
So that way you could, like, if you want to do Rex, you could swap out the colored.
That's not a bad idea. Well, because I also thought of just tracing this whole thing flat, like as best I can on a piece of paper, and just cutting it out of a big piece of foam and layering the foam, and just use this as the template.
Well, there's 3D files for the pauldrons.
Yeah, but I'm saying this: if I just put that foam on that one solid piece, cut it this shape, then took the individual shapes and glued it right on that foam, it would be a fully functioning soft pauldron. But
you'd then be required to finish it so it doesn't look like foam. So
right.
That's actually one of the big challenges with a lot of the Mando stuff is they don't want things made of foam.
Right. So I could finish that with Plasti Dip. There's another spray. There's a spray at Smooth On for doing that too, but it's extremely expensive. It's like I think I was telling you guys before, it's like $800 for the gun, and then you buy these canisters of this stuff, and it's like ridiculously expensive. But it's like when you're doing any kind of large sculptures, you spray that on, and it gives like a solid surface when you're all done. So if you're sculpting like rocks for a swimming pool, you can use that green insulation foam, like you put on your house. You can build it out of these makeshift rocks, and then you spray it with this stuff, and it gives it a solid, almost rock-like feeling, and you can make it as smooth or as rough as you want, but then you can lift the whole rock up.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and it's not caustic like if you try fiberglass on some of that foam, you might be able to get it to work a little bit, but it'll eat into the foam a little bit. Yeah. Till it treats up. So, but yeah, if I get to the point where I'm worrying about that part, I'll be super happy.
Yeah, we're talking December next year.
It depends.
Yeah, that's one of the 54 things on your list, man.
You know what's nice though? This is the first school year, because normally September, October, man, I am just burnt. I am just getting, I'm getting into the school and the amount of paperwork. It's not the teaching part. I love the teaching part and I love the students. It's the 30 minutes of paperwork for every 45-minute class, I feel, is that I have to do behind the scenes, for this or this or this. And all the stuff you just have to read. Like if you I have a whole list I have 100 and some students. I have to read the paperwork on every allergy that the kids might have. And then I have to make sure I have my room set up a certain way. And I also have to make sure that I have that paperwork set up that no one can find out which kid has the allergy, because that would be a violation of their medical rights. So, you know what I mean? So it's just it's getting into that groove, and it usually takes me till October. But normally,
do you have your desk set up in a power corner?
I do.
Like feng shui?
I have, and in my backdrop of mine is the Tatooine sun, the binary sunset, because I don't have any windows in my room.
Is it on the west side or the east side?
It is on the west side.
Okay.
Right. But I don't have any. I'm in the middle of the school, so I can't tell if it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's sunny, if it's, and I just.
It's the apocalypse.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, no, but what's nice is normally when I start the school year, my garage is packed full of crap, and I don't get it cleaned out till about Christmas. My garage is spotless. It's like, because I finished the drywall, and when I cleaned out my garage, so like this Saturday I have to mow and stuff. But when I'm done that, I'll probably, like I said, I'll hit the clone with some primer. I think my IG-11, my plan is for that to take one piece and just like take the foot and just carry it around till it's all cleaned up and ready to paint, and then set it aside. And then I'm not going to worry about what's in the bin. I'm just going to start with the feet and work my way up, and just make sure because most 3D printers say, well, I'll clean this piece while this piece prints, and I never do. Do you, John?
Oh, no, nothing gets done until everything's printed.
I know, it's like, well, that has 3 days. I could clean all that up. No, it's just, I'll wait till I have an unconquerable mountain of 3D prints to clean. And, that's what
usually I'll get one piece in where it's like, oh, well, I'll clean this up while this is printing. And then by like the 8th piece I've printed, I'm like, oh, I've only finished one part.
Yeah. Well, that's what my next droid will be, a Michael Badley printed droid, because his stuff has almost no supports. It's built. If you print him how he lays them on the bed and everything, and it's minimal supports.
Really?
Yeah, that's what you get when you pay for good files. You can build an R2 that you literally print from the bottom up, and it snaps together in layers. Like that.
I need to do
another thing to our list.
Huh? Yeah, that's our 3D print talk. I just want a chopper. I want a chopper more than an R2.
Oh, see, I want an R4.
R4.
Oh, Obi-Wan's R4.
Yeah.
I should say. I love the silver and red.
What was the droid in Star Wars Resistance?
Oh, Bucket.
Bucket.
That's the one Zoe wants. Zoe wants Bucket.
Yeah, Bucket's funny. She probably wants a geode too.
No. She wants she wants a chopper, but Bucket would be her second one. So, but if you go to Aaron Scare, they usually have a giant complement of droids, like all kinds, and they have I mean that's I'm gonna miss not being able to do it, but we'll see what happens. Plus, I have my haunted walk to set up for, so that's my only bad part is I have to set up my haunted walk, which takes, just to lay the wires, almost 12 hours.
Jesus.
So,
Ay.
That's the only holiday we decorate for it around here.
Well, that's fair.
That and armor parties. And I'm going to put my big Darth Vader up front. I'm going to put him up front this year, because I'll be dressed in my Vader hopefully for Halloween. I mean, it won't be done to like stat, but it'll be done enough for me to wear. So I'll dress up as Vader.
Yeah. Well, before we leave Costume Corner, speaking of Halloween, so obviously I started my new job, and one of the employees was asking about like, oh, when are we going to start get to dress up for Halloween? And I'm like, what do you mean? We're a publicly traded company that just went bankrupt. Nevertheless, we're a publicly traded corporation. Like, there's no way they let us dress up for Halloween. Lo and behold, our GM was like, yeah, we could probably start like the Thursday before. And I'm like, hold on, this is like a real thing? I'm like, who all does this extend to? Like, does this stop at floor staff? Does this extend to managers? And he was like, well, I'm dressing up as Michael Myers, so
there you go.
It extends to leadership as well. I'm like, now it's like, because like I already told him, like, I'm not bringing in Kylo, because that's my only approved costume, and the me wanting to get oil on that is zero.
Yeah.
Do I bring Mando and just be that guy who's got the super extravagant costume, or do I make something new in a month and a half?
Well, you could do that as your goal to get your TK done.
Why don't you do Matt the radar technician?
Yeah, there you go.
I could do Matt.
Or Ben Solo.
With Matt, how much fun you will have with Matt as and you have Kylo. Think of the TikToks you can be doing.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah, speaking of which, what was the deal with you putting that little clip from our last little flight out there?
What do you mean?
Yeah, what do I mean?
I think he even said he was going to do that. I think that was
as soon as it happened, I literally told you, after I had unmuted myself because I was cackling for 5 minutes, I told you that I had already clipped it and planned to post it.
I mean, come on, Ken. That's 21st century stuff, man. It's the new memes. Oh, John, you weren't here when I was showing the World War II troopers group. Let me see if I can invite you guys to that.
Yeah, Ken, you should have expected that.
When you said posted, I didn't know exactly what you meant by that. But yeah, I did get a kick out of it when I saw it.
Mike even did say that was going to come back to haunt you.
Well, thankfully, nobody knows it's me. So
true.
Except Ark, Marcus, and Anthony.
Right. And then you're going to get demoted in your job. Anthony will demote you at your podcast. You'll be demoted to Pink Shorts guy.
I thought you were going to say Omega in the Rad Batch.
Oh yeah, you'll be Omega. They don't have a pet. Do they have a pet yet?
Gonky.
Yeah, there you go, Gonky. Well, because it's funny because Favreau and Filoni are doing this. I am surprised that they don't do the old '80s trope of always having that weird pet or animal with the good guys. Like you had, remember the monkey from
Every Which Way But Loose?
No, Justice League. Remember Justice League? It was the monkey. It was the Wonder Twins.
From the Wonder Twins?
And the monkey. Remember the monkey? They had a monkey. Yeah. And before the Wonder Twins, it was Wendy and Marvin. And I forget what there was an animal with them as well, I think. I don't know. They just seem like they always
Superman had a dog too.
Yeah, Zoe just saw the that movie because she has an AMC pass or whatever, so she goes to AMC all the time. But she just went and saw that movie with all the dogs and stuff. She said it was really good.
Yeah.
And Diego Luna,
Super Pets.
Yeah, Diego Luna played the squirrel. I only know this because I listen to my kid's podcast. She doesn't tell me this stuff in person.
Do you remember the monkey's name from the Wonder Twins?
I do not.
Do you remember, John?
No.
Before his time. What was it?
It was Gleek.
Gleek. Okay. Let me see.
Well, Mike, if Zoe's got an AMC pass, you need to tell her to cancel it and go get Regal Unlimited so I don't lose my job.
Well, I don't think they have a Regal near her.
Ah, jeez.
So I'll tell her though, if there's a Regal, she should go get that.
Yeah, because I don't want to lose my job.
No, I don't want you to lose your job either. But remember, anytime a door closes, you can go get a job at Lucasfilm. No.
That's true. Just pack up, sell my car, move out to California.
Well, I wouldn't sell your car because you may need to live in it for a while.
Yeah, I was going to say.
True.
I know what Zoe's paying to live out there. You might. Well, you know what? It's funny for her class. They are going to. I just sent you guys an invite to the World War II Troopers. They're going to Venice Beach for her LA history class. So Saturday they're going to hang out at Venice Beach. So.
Oh, it's not letting me join.
Oh, really? Is it like? I thought I was like a moderator at one point. I don't know. I'll anyway, yeah. I don't know. I'll look at it when we're not doing this. But okay, so that's we have anything else on Costume Corner? That was a pretty good Costume Corner.
That was a pretty big segment.
Yeah, it's good to say.
Okay, so now we have D23, right?
Yep. Yeah, so obviously the number one thing that I want to talk about is that Mandalorian trailer.
Yeah.
Granted, it was already seen at Celebration.
I forgot I saw it. That's because I was all excited to see it. I was like, wait, I saw this already. Like, it's always like, yeah, you saw that already.
Yeah. Granted, I've also seen it, just a bootleg copy on YouTube. Yeah. But it's nice to finally have seen it in high def.
Babu's back.
Babu Frick is back. R5 is going to be the.
That's why I wore the shirt.
Yeah, I know Babu. Yeah, R5. Bo-Katan.
And a lot of other rando mandos.
Yeah, I like the dropship. I like that dropship scene.
I wonder if any of them are going to be named characters.
Oh, they have to be. I guarantee it.
Well, I mean, at least because they had a lot of Mandos in the covert, but they didn't get named, other than Pax and the Armorer.
True. I feel like So now, I feel like since this season, at least it appears, granted, Disney has misled us with trailers before.
Right.
It seems like they're going to be really leaning heavy into the into more of a like serialized story. With the Mandalorians and Bo-Katan, hopefully. So hopefully, you know, we're gonna get more Mandos with speaking roles. So
I still wonder if they're all going to converge. If the Mando, Boba Fett, and Ahsoka show at some point in time either converge, crossover, or whatever. If Mandalore is going to be the big merging point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be.
Like it'll be, you know, like this series will end on this one, and then, you know, and it might just be a crossover. Like maybe Ahsoka has a much different agenda, but they have Sabine, and if you look at the Sabine Mandalorian arcs in Rebels, whatever season that was when they went back to Mandalore and she made that thing that melted their armor and all that, you know, they put a lot of Mandalorian lore in Rebels for just one and of the characters that didn't really affect the rest of the show, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And they did some of the only one that has the least amount of Mandalorian lore is the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, because that show was really mostly about a character.
Right. But he might be one of those, like, I could see them using him as more of like the wild card. You know what I mean? Like maybe someone comes to him and he says, no, I'm not going to do anything. And then the last minute, you know, Slave One comes rolling in or something. You know what I mean? Or he gets like some sort of redemption arc for his dad and his, you know, I don't know. But I think the Mandalorian stuff is going to be big.
See, I'm wondering how all of that stuff will also bring in the Bad Batch stuff. Because you have Omega, which many folks realize Omega is Boba's sister.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and I wonder if they're going to set some of that stuff up in Andor.
Yeah, I mean,
with the clone.
The timeline works out.
Like, just not that it's going to be related, but because we have to think of the audience. They're going to do it for the people like us, but they also have to put that low-hanging fruit for the people that just watch the shows, the people that just get Disney Plus, and they don't listen to podcasts, they don't costume, they just whatever comes across, that's their Star Wars, you know. And so you wonder, the clones have to have some sort of thing, which would then circle back into the Bad Batch, which then circles back into Boba Fett, which then, you know what I mean? Like, you wonder how.
Well, would it be the clones or would it be cloning? Because those aren't necessarily the same.
Right. Well, but I'm wondering if the clones are what precipitate something more that happens to the cloning. Like, we know what happens in the Bad Batch cartoon, but you also have to remember a large percentage of the people don't watch Star Wars cartoons, like the average. Just like when they had the battle of Darth Vader fighting Obi-Wan and he got his mask all busted up. A lot of those people will never watch Rebels and see that happen with Ahsoka. You know, so you wonder how they're going to, like, they want to balance it and keep it for everybody.
Well, I also think that with the live action stuff, whether it's Mandalorian season 3 or the Andor show, which we're kind of stepping into, I think they're going to make them more realistic and less weird. Mm-hmm. Whereas the cartoons, they have so much more freedom to get into the George Lucas level weirdness.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you mentioned Rebels, and look at some of the weird stuff that happened in Rebels. Whether you're talking about those giant wolves that Ezra and Kanan were able to communicate with, or the world between worlds and allowing us to travel through time, or
Purgles.
Purgles. Yes. Giant space whales that took away Ezra and Thrawn. Also,
the space slug kind of got us used to that though. In Empire.
So as I'm talking out loud, maybe there's enough weirdness for the live action stuff as well. It doesn't have to stay just in the cartoons.
What about Bill Gullet from Rogue One?
Yeah, from Rogue One.
I don't know if Bill Gullet falls in the same category as the Purgles though.
Yeah, they're weird. It's weird.
Or the world between worlds.
But it is weird because you had when you had Kanan thrown out of an airlock, and he pulled himself back in. Remember, he was freezing up, and he pulled himself back in, and no one
was that before or after
Carrie Fisher? That was after
Carrie Poppins.
That was after that. I mean, that was before that. Okay. So the people that watched, I bet you if you can't do it now, but if you took a survey with the people that were freaking out about her flying through space, I wish they would have taken a survey. Have you seen Rebels yet?
Mm-hmm.
Because Rebels kind of got you ready for that. I mean, we also have sound in space too in Star Wars.
Yeah, from the beginning.
Yeah, and it goes back to my saying: if you're upset with sound in space, just watch Star Trek.
That's very true.
Yeah, I mean, but D23, we have that. We have the trailer for Andor, which is back. It's on Disney Plus. They showed some pictures of what's the new series coming? Well, there's two. There's the cartoon, the 6-part series with Ahsoka and Dooku.
Mm-hmm. Tales of the Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And then Skeleton Crew. We got our first.
Actually, let's talk about the Tales of the Jedi. What do you guys think of that trailer?
I mean, they're just giving us Clone Wars and not calling it Clone Wars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're like these people. We're just going to be getting clone. I'll take that forever.
Well, it happened during the time of the Clone Wars, but the fact that they're focusing on the Jedi, I think, is pretty brave considering so many shows now don't have them in it. So if you look at Andor, Book of Boba, Mandalorian, well, Mandalorian has some Jedis in it, but not.
Yeah,
it's not focused on them. Where this show is all about them. And one of the things I found, just one of the little nuggets of interest, was that they showed Ahsoka being present at Padme's funeral. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen the trailer. So I found it very interesting that they decided to bring Ahsoka from the cartoons so close to a live action event that we didn't know that she was a participant in.
They should just do that with every scene. They should just make a cartoon of her just off camera, just
in hood.
When they're right before they blow up the Death Star, they should just have Ahsoka standing off to the side. That should just be a show, like Ahsoka off to the side in every scene.
I hope they have Jar Jar in there somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, but I mean, when I say the Clone Wars, it's that same artistic style. It looks like the same. Like when I first watched the Clone Wars, it took me a while to get used to it. But now that style just has a feel to it that I really enjoy.
And they've polished it so much from the beginning.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, when you watch the clothes now, they act like clothes, whereas before it was a little bit more, a bit more rigid. And when you look at it, like was it season 7 of the Clone Wars that had the Darth Maul fight?
Yeah, oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was just so much going on the screen versus the first season where they might have 1 or 2 characters on the screen, and that was it.
Yep.
Yeah. Fun fact about that scene, though, which I bet you both probably already know. But that was mocapped with Ray Park.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember them doing that. Well, I know with some of the earlier Clone Wars, I think, if I remember correctly, I forget there's some rule in animation. An actor or actress can only do a certain amount of voices on every episode. Because in the heyday of cartoons in the 40s or 50s or something like that, it was keeping companies from just hiring like one person to do all the voices and not pay them, for their time. And I know that might have limited. I was reading somewhere where some of the newer animations and Clone Wars was mentioned. It wasn't an article about Clone Wars. This was probably right before Clone Wars came out. But they were saying about they had to be careful with how many voices someone did on each episode because of certain rules or trade rules or union rules or something like that.
Yeah, I could see that coming up, and was it D. Bradley Baker?
Yeah, D. Bradley
all of the clones. So
right,
there would be episodes where he would, or at least bits of episodes where he was legitimately talking to himself.
Well, that's Marcus who's on. I'm telling you, I saw Marcus do it firsthand. I just don't know why Marcus is not doing animated voices for every show, because watching him talk to himself as Obi-Wan and C-3PO at the same time was remarkable. In the Creative cast we did.
Mm-hmm.
Remarkable.
Yeah, it was remarkable.
Marcus, you better trademark that right now.
Yeah. That's a new shirt he's working on right now.
I am remarkable.
So, yeah, and then what's the other episode? What's the other thing coming out with
Skeleton Crew? You'd mentioned Skeleton Crew.
Skeleton Crew. I don't know what to think about that one. That's one of those ones where I think I'm just going to wait to see what it looks like when I watch it.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, I like Jude Law as an actor.
Yeah.
It's we know so little about it now.
Yeah,
that it's like, all right, let's bite our tongue.
I'm glad they announce all this stuff, but sometimes I wouldn't mind being surprised about a show. Like I wouldn't mind, like, hey, guess what's coming out next month? You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't mind, because their calendar's getting jammed up. I see, like they moved.
Well, see, let's talk about that part for a second. So, if you remember back to that space between Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace.
Yep.
How there was so little Star Wars available to the world.
Yep.
There was some toys. There was some games. There were some Ewok movies and some animation stuff. Shadows of the Empire. Yep. And then a whole lot of nothing else.
Yeah.
And now we're at the place where there is something coming out almost every month.
Right. Which I don't mind when they change the dates. I know some people see that and they think it's like the sky is falling, you know, like, oh, they moved this back, something must be terrible. And I was saying to Zoe, probably the reason they're moving them back is they want to spread it out to keep subscribers. You can't have 10 things come out at once.
Well, yeah, with that in mind, now that Disney is the parent company of Marvel and the parent company of the Muppets and the parent company of all these other properties, that have that spread so that you don't overwhelm folks with all of the possibilities.
Well, and I'm still upset. I mean, I'm happy, and I say upset in air quotes, like I'm a privileged person that has a job in cable and all that. But I mean, it's like when they first released those 3 episodes of Andor, that's all I'm going to do that night. You know what I mean? Like it's going to, because by the time I'm not going to be able to get up early and watch it, spoiler free. So I'm just going to hope my students didn't get up early and watch it. And then I'm just going to come home and it's going to be my whole night. Like, it's just,
well, it can't be your entire night because that's next Wednesday.
Oh, is that when? Yeah, but it comes out. Does it come out Wednesday or does it come out?
Comes out Wednesday, 21st.
Okay, we can't record Wednesday. No, but I mean, that's going to be,
Well, I think that might be a legitimate reason to take a bye that week.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like that's. Well, it might be better to because then we have something to digest. But that's my only. I'm glad we're getting 3 episodes. Well,
how about this? Speaking of next week, what if instead of us doing the typical 3.5 hour show that we do, what if we do a 45-minute gathering?
Yeah.
And say whether it's we're playing the guessing game, which is sometimes fun.
Yeah.
And just do that. So the 3 of us are gonna watch Andor tonight, and what do we think we're gonna see?
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with all the content. I hope they get their, to me, I just wish I'd be happy as it's just Wednesday, some new Star Wars comes out. Like honestly, I'd take Andor 1 week, I'd take Bad Batch the next week. I don't care. Just give me. They don't have to be back to back or just
Well, this might be the closest that we'll ever get to an all Star Wars channel.
Yeah.
Although now that we're talking to Kathleen Kennedy and the other folks from Lucasfilm, because I know they're also listening with Bob Chapek. I don't know if they're in the same room, but at least they're listening at the same time. How fun would it be if, how you watch sports stuff, right, John? How they have ESPN where they've got the commentators and the what if we had a show on this all Star Wars channel?
Yeah.
And whether it's we talk about the costumes part of it or we talk about the makers part of it or whatever. Or because I know on AMC after The Walking Dead, they have The Talking Dead. So they it's legit right after the show airs. They have guests come on and they talk through the episode that just played. Maybe that's something that we could do.
That's what I wonder if it's going to come back around to appointment television, because Star Wars kind of makes it appointment television in the sense that if you want to watch when the Mandalorian's out, you want to watch that new Mandalorian when it first comes out. Just like in the olden days, like when I get done work on Thursdays, we'd watch Seinfeld or whatever was on Thursday night. You just watch that. And I wonder if the streaming services eventually, because I feel like the streaming services are just, I think COVID kind of threw things for a little bit of a loop because they got weird numbers that didn't make sense, and now that things are kind of getting back to normal. And I wonder, like you saying, Ken, I would love to see, like, even if Disney Plus had a live feed, like channel A, B, C, D, and it was just live, and migrate some of their good shows, like the Star Wars show, the old Star Wars show they used to do,
with Andy and Anthony.
Yeah, and all that, migrate some of that stuff over, and also use that for like live streams from D23, or if Disney has a booth here, you know what I mean? Like do live stream content and move it away from, like, YouTube's fine, but I mean, if you're trying to sell a product of Disney Plus, you got to be careful. It's a balance of how much content you put out on YouTube, I mean, because those things are changing as well, because now those hosts are getting a little more say in what you put out. They can mute this and close this off and change that revenue stream. I don't think they'd ever do it to Disney, but that's what I'd love to see a channel like that. Maybe we need like public access. John's not old enough to remember public access
on UHF.
Hold on, rewind. I remember public access.
Yeah, you need like a public access Star Wars channel. It would start. The evening would start with Star Wars kid fighting with a lightsaber, in his garage. The kid that was like bullied out of his whole hometown.
Yep.
Well, Andy with that, let's go down that path, because now I don't even know where we've detoured into, but it's a fun detour to take. You have Droid Builders, Saber Guild, Rebel Legion, 501st, Mando Mercs, who are involved in doing these events all around the world. And how cool would it be to have, a show that did like a little catch up on each of these kind of events?
Yeah. Well, you have like the 501st has their podcast, right? And they do like John, you can submit, which you might want to try, your first event, submit it to write up how it went, and this with all the people that were in it, and send it to the 501st cast, and they will probably read it, for your first troop. So like what you're saying, but even more so, like I think we need, like, I still like the behind the scenes of a lot of stuff we need to do. And maybe we just need a live action costuming channel, because I think sometimes to go back to way back when we were talking about costuming, and the people thought they were going to be organ harvested when they went to a armor party. Well, we say armor party like we know what everyone knows what we're talking about, but I spend the whole summer hanging with Star Wars people, and then when I go back to work, and they'll say, "Oh, what'd you do?" And I say, "Well, I went to a couple of armor parties," and they look at me like I just said a sentence of words that shouldn't even be in the same sentence. Because you say, like, if you don't know what an armor, that could be anything. They like in their eyes, are they picturing like knights in armor? You know, are they picturing
Was it
like
a joust? Were you preparing for a joust?
Tanks? Do we show up with tanks, and are we working on tanks? You know, is it a party like is there hats and cakes involved? You know what I mean? So
yes,
well,
we're making hats and we're talking about cakes, vegan cakes.
We had slushies.
So you know, it is a weird thing, and like the droid builders, I keep trying to get Dave Castellano, who's the head of, not the head because they don't really have a head in the droid builders. They're like a whole bunch of, like, everyone's in charge and no one's in charge of the droid builders. But I try to get Dave Castellano. He wanted to start a podcast about that, and I've always said that the best droid builder podcast or show would have one droid builder and one person that knows absolutely nothing about it, because then that person knows the right questions to ask, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
So,
well, what else do we have from D23? Is that
tons of Marvel stuff?
Nobody cares about Marvel here.
Willow?
Yeah.
How can you forget
Willow?
Willow?
Willow? Yeah, I know, because I did see the Willow trailer before too, and Willow is one of those movies that I missed when I was really little, when it first came out. Like, I wasn't really little, but I think I was in, when did it come out? 80? 83?
I think it was around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those ones that got missed till I remember watching it right when Missy and I got married in 93.
Actually, no, it was 88.
Oh, okay. So it was my first year in college, first year in college. So I was just watching MTV at the time. We had an MTV room in our student center. It was just a TV turned on MTV all the time. And so I would just go sit there and fall asleep when I should have been going to class.
Yeah.
But yeah, Willow, I mean, Indiana Jones.
Yes.
Did we get any update from it?
Other than Harrison Ford saying it's going to be really cool.
Short Round was there.
Short Round.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and who was the lady who played L7?
Oh, yeah. Is she there?
She was there. She's in Indiana Jones.
Oh, nice. She's not L7 though.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones is one of those ones where I really like Indiana Jones, and I like them all. Even the skull one, or the glass skull one, I still thought was pretty good. Crystal Skull. But I think that's one of those franchises that, unless they find the exact person, I think when Harrison Ford is done doing Indiana Jones, it's one of those ones I would be perfectly fine with it being done.
Yeah. Well, that's not going to happen.
I know that.
In charge.
I know. I mean, and they'll probably find someone. I mean, you got to give Disney. They announced who Ezra was, and everyone was wrong about that.
Well, they had an Indiana Jones because they were going to cast. It was either Chris Pratt or Aaron Paul, and then Harrison Ford swooped in and was like, "No. As long as I'm still alive, Indiana Jones."
No, honestly, I don't think either one of those would have. Chris Pratt possibly at one time. I don't know if the Chris Pratt of today could have.
Yeah, and Aaron Paul he is so synonymous with Jesse Pinkman that I think putting him in that role would be like, I love Aaron Paul.
Yeah,
but not Indiana Jones.
Yeah, the new Indiana Jones is going to have to be one of those people that they get that we've all know who it is, but we never thought of them. But. Yeah.
Or would they keep the idea of Indiana Jones but not have Indy?
That could be.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, they've done young Indiana Jones and things like that.
You could always bring Shia LaBeouf back.
Oh yeah,
if he's not retired acting.
I don't think many folks want to work with. I know he's listening to the show, and this is no insult or anything, Shia, but there aren't a lot of folks who are keen on working with him, from what I understand.
Yeah,
but he's a changed man. I actually just saw a podcast with him talking about all that and how he's completely turned his life around from being an alcoholic and a drug addict and all this, that, and another. But
well, I mean, you also with this is nothing we normally talk about, but look at
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. right there.
Yeah,
like he was a big star right when I was graduating high school. And then if someone would, then when he hit rock bottom, if someone would have ever said he was going to make it back, I would have laughed. I'd have been like, "Come on," because he seemed like in this country we portray addiction, and when people fall apart, we portray that as such an evil. And it's such like it's clickbait, or it's get people to watch your news at 6 or sell magazines or whatever genre you're in. And then when that person pulls it back together, we haven't been taught to forgive people. We've been taught to like, well, that person, you know what I'm saying? I see it with a lot of people that have any kind of addiction. We demonize them so bad with any kind of addiction, and it's hard for them to make it back to the public. So.
Well, see, I don't think it's just the addiction part though that has people keeping Shia at a distance.
Oh, right. I'm not talking about him in particular. I'm talking about in general. No, I think there are people that are just not good people, no matter if they're addicted or not to anything. But I'm saying what hurts anyone, I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt. If which I don't think it is, but let's say 100% of all his issues was because of that, it's always harder for these people to come back. But when you see the new Iron Man, you can't picture anyone else being Iron Man.
Yeah, that's true.
And you can't, when you see him today, you can't see a nicer person that is trying to, just live their life like the rest of us, just have slightly more money and popularity than we do,
Yeah, I'm hopeful for his, Shia's sake specifically that the things he's saying are working out for him.
Right.
Because I'll never, as famous as we are here on the Inflatable Falcon, I'll never understand the pressures of not being able to go outside without 953 cameras in your face, or
right,
people judging what you eat or what you look like or what clothes you wear, what car you drive. I'll never understand that pressure.
Well, people, and I don't understand it in that regard, but I know in my job, we have to be careful what we do because perception outweighs. You could be the world's best teacher, and if someone took a snapshot of you doing something that every other person gets to do, and they put it in the wrong spot, your whole career could be lost. And with actors and actresses, they live under. And again, I'm not saying let's feel bad for all the really rich actors and actresses, but they're just, when it's all said and done, they're just people like us. I mean, I'm happy for them for what they got, and
Anyone watch the new episode of House of the Dragon this week?
I have not. So we should probably talk about that sometime on our podcast. But I would say right now, the Lord of the Rings show is beating out House of the Dragon for me. But now I've been a Lord of the Rings fan since like the 70s. So,
that's fair. The only reason I say that is because that whole topic of reality, perception versus reality, is a big part of this
cool.
last episode. But
we've been watching. So here we should have this corner of what we're watching, and then we could non-Star Wars what we're watching. If I can add, I'm gonna have like 50 banners going here.
That's good. Look, you make it once, you don't need to make it again.
Right, then I just won't be able to find it. So eventually I'll have like 30 of each one. I've been watching, and I can't believe I'm watching this, so please don't judge me. But it's the one, is it called Sight? No.
Oh, See. With Jason Momoa?
Yeah, I can't believe I'm watching that and loving that show. Like if someone told me there's a show that Aquaman stars in, and the entire world is blind. Everyone in the world's blind, and I would watch it and enjoy it, I would have laughed in their face. And we just stumbled on it, and it's actually pretty decent.
See, that's your problem. You think about it as Aquaman and not as Ronan Dex, which was his first big break.
Oh yeah, right, okay. Well, I just,
you don't see him as Conan.
Was he in Conan too? Was he?
He was Conan.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. That was
or
like
Conan, depending how you want.
That Conan was more based on the comics than the old movies. That his version of Conan.
It's always going to be Ronan Dex for me. I'm a big Stargate fan.
Well, but he that show is really good. I mean, it's we actually caught up. We watched all 2.5 seasons of it. And,
oh my goodness!
So that's been my guilty pleasure.
I'm fairly certain. Sorry, I'm a big Stargate fan, and now that I think about it, I think Joe Flanagan, the guy who plays Colonel Shepard in the show, actually made a cameo.
Oh, on that show?
Yeah.
I haven't watched Stargate forever.
I'm also surprised that none of you guys brought up the fact that he was in Baywatch.
Yeah, he's Baywatch too.
And he was in Baywatch before any of those things.
Yeah.
I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was his first, But no, I that was my. I haven't watched the Game of Thrones one yet, but we were just like, well, let's just watch this, and then I watched the first 2 episodes of Game of Thrones. So.
Yeah, I'm on my umpteenth rewatch of Futurama. So
yeah, I just finished Disenchantment. I just finished that one, which is pretty good.
Yeah,
and then I rewatched Mando season 1.
On to season 2.
I think I'm going to watch Obi-Wan again before I watch season 2. I get season 2 upsets me because it gives Grogu up the end.
That's fair. But he gets him back.
I know, but I still have a hard time watching the episode of season 1 when he gives him away. I have to fast forward. I have to fast forward till he's trying to rescue him. It gets me too upset. It's probably the place I'm at where Zoe's out in California, but it's upsetting me.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I started The Rings of Power last night.
Mm-hmm.
I got 30 minutes into the first episode, and I'm like, Jesus, I couldn't keep. And the funny thing is, I love Lord of the Rings, but
it's based more on the books. Like I read all those books with like all the begats and this and that and the Silmarillion and all that stuff when I was a kid. So it's a hard chew the first episode. You gotta get through it, but it's starting to get good.
Well, the other part with that specific show, because I'm also watching it, is knowing that it's gonna take time. It's not your traditional action-packed fight the dragon every episode or trolls coming from the dungeon or any of that kind of stuff.
It's on elf time. Elves have no concept of time. When they went and saw the dwarf, because when I play D&D, I always play a dwarf. I played a dwarf since 1979. I always play a dwarf. And in the old rules, dwarves didn't like elves. And it was funny when that dwarf and that elf were talking, and the elf missed like 20 years of the guy's life or something like that. Was that what it was, Ken? Did you get to the part where I think it was Elrond was talking to the dwarf? And I haven't
gotten to that part yet.
Oh, sorry. Oops. I didn't mean to spoil it.
Damn it.
But when he was talking, without getting into specifics, the elves don't have a concept of time because unless they're killed, they don't die. So time is meaningless to them. I mean, it's important, and death is important. Like, they don't want to die, but they live forever. So, if you just want to go on an adventure for a couple hundred years, sorry everyone else died around me. So,
can we? While we're on the Rings of Power, can we talk about how much the guy who plays Elrond looks like? Because that's Hugo Weaving's character from the original 3.
Yeah.
I mean, how much does he actually look like a young Hugo Weaving? That was one of the better castings.
Yeah.
From the show.
Yeah, that was good. I'm curious. I got a lot of questions, but I don't know. I like both the shows. I mean, I really do like both the shows. It's one of those. It's just a great time to watch TV.
Yeah.
which is not great for my fitness regimen and my prop making regimen. And because unfortunately I can't watch the stuff and work on my costume at the same time, because either I'll make a mess in the living room, which I shouldn't do, and that'll get me in big trouble.
Yep.
Or I'll miss something in the show because I'm focusing on this thing. So
yeah, and then it brings you to my motto when I do that. It's Lowe's likes it. It's measure once, buy twice. Because you're watching something else and you cut something. And damn it, I go back to Lowe's.
Yeah, it's amazing. Whenever it comes to cutting, no matter how many times I cut it, it's still too short.
Well, I ran into this problem when I first started doing Zoe Sabine years ago, and I was measuring stuff and it wasn't working out. I had two tape measures. They measured differently. Like if you put them next to each other, because I never had to cut where like a half inch made a difference, and they were off. So now when I measure stuff, it doesn't matter which one. I just use the same one all the time. Because that first, when I cut her first Sabine pistols, man, I messed those up. I don't know how many times. So now I don't know. I'm just happy. And then podcast. Oh, before we go we should, because I gotta get to bed. I'm sorry, I'm getting old. There is the Podathon this Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys hear about that? I mean, we're not in it, but the Podathon is this Saturday to help Make-A-Wish.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, Ryan Johnson's a guest on one of the shows.
Yeah, the only person I know, Matt Martin's doing it, and I think Father and Son of Galaxy are doing it too. Doing an episode. That's all. And I'm going to see what Anchor does for Zoe's numbers now, because the only bad part is I lose all of her stats for the last 8 years, like all her.
You can write those down.
Yeah, I don't. If you're doing a podcast for numbers, that's not the reason I do podcasts. I mean, you want people to listen. But now, do you use Anchor, Ken?
Yep, that's the one we use for the Forces Behind Star Wars.
So my question is, have you guys made Anchor commercials?
Not yet.
Because I think I'm going to get her and Lizzie to make a bunch and just submit them in. Because I think, don't they just load them in? You don't load your commercials in.
I'm not sure how it works. I haven't looked into that part yet, because we haven't gone down that path of whether we want to monetize our show or not.
I don't really want to monetize, other than if I could get a couple bucks to pay for like some of the stuff we need. When I say monetize, I'm talking like if I can get like $5 or so to buy some SD cards and stuff like that, because I'll never catch up, because the first 7 years I paid $135 to $150 a year just to host. Yeah,
I'm also debating that, because I haven't put out our first episode of the Rambling Star Wars Fan yet.
Right. No, but now you're going to use Anchor, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to pay anything other than your website. Yep. Which you can get away with a free one on that one too. I'm looking forward to that. Oh, we never did best card. We never did. Wait a minute. This is the one we got to end up with. We never did the bucket list. Come on. What do you got going for the bucket? Nothing on the bucket list?
I got nothing on the bucket list right now. Well,
we know what your next episode is going to be.
Your first troop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to do that. I want to do a recap of the first 3 episodes of Andor.
Oh yeah.
Granted, I don't know if I'm going to do that one solo or if I'm going to try and find someone. It's a matter of finding time right now, because my biggest problem is I got to try and balance my work schedule now, because it used to be like, okay, cool, I get off at 6 and I know I'm getting off at 6. Now it's like, do I really want to record an episode at 10:30, 11 o'clock? So... yeah, because like Wednesday nights are right. This is the worst time for me to do anything extra.
Yeah.
Because my availability right now is no Sundays and no Wednesday nights, for obvious reasons.
Right.
So, and typically how that works out is, well, I can't really schedule you for half the day on Wednesdays, so just have the whole day off. So yeah, so it's like, okay, do I want to record an episode and use all of my good content before the Inflatable Falcon?
Well, you gotta prioritize, Well, and you'll get your sea legs for your new job. New jobs are always,
Well, also there's the possibility that this forces you into being a little bit more organized and deliberate with your show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With this, look at this. We're rolling up on 2 hours.
Yeah.
And that's just with the segment stuff. We haven't even done our usual rambling about the inflatable Falcon or
right.
Vegan recipes or car repairs.
Right. Yeah, we haven't had any of those tonight.
Yeah.
I'll talk to Zoe about. I will talk to Zoe about the inflatable Falcon thing, but she has, like I said, she has her premiere, and then she has lunch with important people on Friday. So,
ooh,
nothing. No, just just the people we know, and she's just going to hang. So, she's living the life. I'm just living vicariously through her.
Ken,
even though it's just a hang, it's still an opportunity to ask questions, get inspiration, get encouragement, get a little bit of support in a place that's not home.
Yeah, I don't know how
to make the three of us jealous.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What he's not telling us, Ken, is that she's got lunch with Jon Favreau. There's just an NDA in place.
I would. If she has that, if I ever say I can't do the show for like a month, that's why, because I wouldn't be able to keep my mouth shut. I'll just be like, okay, I'm just going to delete all social media on my phone for now.
Yeah. Which reminds me, I guess we should probably discuss this now while we've got a month in advance. Because we were talking about taking a break next week because of Andor.
Yeah.
I really think that we're genuinely going to have to take a week off on the 26th of next month. That's when all 6 episodes, plus I think it's like the 8th or 9th episode of Andor drops.
Yeah.
So I know there's no way in hell that any of us are going to crank through 7 hours or whatever it shakes out.
Well, here's the thing, though. Is our show that recap show, or
we just have to be more spot on with our time? Like, okay, this Wednesday we're going to do a half-hour show on blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
and because I do think we've tightened our show up considerable. I still didn't put the Google Doc up for our segments, but I'm just like, I'm in school mode. I have people just bringing Chromebooks to me and asking me to fix them all day while I'm trying to teach. So I'm just the joy of being the computer guy in the building. And they just anything that plugs into the wall, I should say. I was fixing speakers this morning because a teacher couldn't get their speakers to play. So
that makes 2 of us then have that problem.
Yeah. So
just as a warning or a heads up, is the last week of October, first week of November, I'll be in Disney World, so I probably won't record from down there. So you guys,
you should
fly
record.
without me.
Yeah,
you should record you should stop your vacation. Say no Batu for me. And no.
Well, what I do intend to do, and I don't want to say force my hand, but I'll tell you anyway. I was gonna have it be a surprise. I was gonna film a short clip from Batu and send it to you guys to play in my stead.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, and you should just film yourself in a loop. Or just film yourself in a loop and just sitting there.
We can just play that for an hour and a half.
Just loop it. We'll just loop. Because I think I can hook my ATM Mini up, and I can probably run it through a DVD player, so it looks like it's an additional live feed. So, we'll have to pull a schedule up. I just have to get all my stuff together, but I'm getting stuff done. So I look forward to today. So I even took a little bit of a nap.
We love that. I saw Top Gun today.
Oh, is that good?
It was good. I was surprised. I went in wanting to hate it, and
I've never seen the first one. I've never seen the first one. So
Now, I will pose this question. I know we're all trying to get out of here, but I do have one final thing.
All right.
Do we want to add one more item to your list of projects?
Sure. Project away.
I think, because you said we've tightened up our show quite a bit.
Yes.
I don't know if this is realistic or not, but I think by the end of the year we should aim to turn it into also the audio format. Because I know we've been talking about it and actually publishing our episodes.
That's what started me doing Zoe's. When I saw her bill due, I was like, you know what? That was what pushed me to look. I'm going to convert hers over, and then if it looks like it's easy enough, then I can do it one by one for our show, because I do think that's a good idea.
And you want our show to be this and more, or just the and more part?
No, I think this and I think this and more, because there's a lot of TikTokers that record a TikTok live and then throw it up on a iTunes feed with no video.
Yeah, because we had talked a couple times where we do 1 hour of live on Wednesday, stop at the hour mark, and then record another hour that could become that other thing that we post. Mm-hmm. Well, so we end up doubling our content.
Yeah, that's what we could do. We could do the first hour live and then have people tune into if they want the second hour, they have to tune into iTunes or wherever they get their podcasts. Because I do think
that second hour could be the more focused conversations, more either topic specific or show specific, and that could be the extra thing that gets put out there as the audio podcast. I think this stuff that we're doing right now is great in the live sense.
Yeah, but you still put it up on your feed. You just list it as live recording from blah, and then and from what it looks like on Anchor, you can put your seasons and episodes and everything. So I've never done seasons on Zoe's show. I just never thought about it. Now that I put it up on Anchor, I feel more comfortable building one for us. Because again, when I started podcasting, every single thing was a chore, from recording with someone else to finding a host to making sure that it's all become so streamlined that I have to get in that mindset is not as hard as it used to be,
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing with Anchor, and this could be taken one of two ways. Either A, I'm lazy, or B, it's super convenient. I could record an episode through Restream and have it edited, scheduled, and published within an hour.
Yep. Well, and our show's not super simple. Yeah. Our show's not an over edited one, and that's why I'm thinking of trying the commercials with the girls, only because I'm curious how they put the commercials in. Mm-hmm. If I don't have to drop the commercials in, why wouldn't I monetize? Right. If I just have to record 5 or 6 commercials and load them up, and they put them in the spots, then why wouldn't I do it? I'm not going to make tons of money, but you think about like when I bought her first audio recorder when she did cons, I had to just fork over that money. The Zoom recorders aren't cheap, but if you're going to record a con, you have to have a backup recording device in case something doesn't work out. So. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like the hour and an hour, but that is a good goal by the end of the year, because we can kick it off. And what's really nice is with Anchor. So when I loaded all her shows up on Anchor, one show for some reason wouldn't load up. Like it said, this show would load up. So I went and just did an individual load of that show. I think what it was, the artwork was doing something to it. So I loaded an individual, but I backdated it to when it was actually released, and it put it in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So I did like that about Anchor. And it looks like when I checked this morning, everything went to all her streams, I think, except I didn't check Google Play. I got to check Google Play. But
yeah, I know it's on iTunes.
Yeah,
I can tell you that much.
Well,
I got 4 notifications for it.
Yeah, episode 10 came in, and then, like I said, I think it was the episode after yours, John. I had to put it up like 4 times till it finally came up. That's what made me want to switch over because I was having such a hard time with SoundCloud. And I don't know if SoundCloud is doing a big deal. SoundCloud seems more like music people.
Yeah. It's up there 3 times.
Okay. Yeah, I think I deleted the one time. And then there should be a 10. It's like a recast of episode 10 or something like that with Vanessa Marshall.
Yeah, right. So your last 5 episodes are episode 10, episode 234, episode 234, episode 234, and episode 233.
Yeah. Your episode with Zoe was in the top 30 episodes of all time.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And it was on SoundCloud. Since you did it, now again, I didn't check iTunes and all that. I just SoundCloud's number was like 300 listens. So,
good to know.
Good.
Well, alrighty then.
Well, that sounds like a show.
Yeah. That sounds like a show.
Great place to end.
I'm going to end the stream later. I'll check all our podcasts, and we'll be bored. I'm just going to shut the live.
Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, Ark and Marcus and Anthony.
Yeah. I think they all left us.